No one was prepared for the headline that exploded across Hollywood timelines late Sunday. A name tied to comfort movies, laughter, and decades of television history, suddenly linked to something dark, violent, and deeply unsettling. Reports claim Rob Reiner, the man behind When Harry Met Sally and The Princess Bride, was found dead inside his own home. And what authorities are now allegedly looking into has left even longtime Hollywood insiders shaken. Because this wasn't just a death. It was a scene that, according to early reports, felt more like a nightmare than real life. And the questions only get worse from here. It reportedly began in the quiet, wealthy Brentwood neighborhood where nothing ever seems to happen. Around mid-afternoon, emergency crews were called to provide medical aid. When first responders arrived, they allegedly discovered two bodies, a man in his late 70s and a woman nearly a decade younger. Both were pronounced dead at the scene. Sources claim the couple was Rob Reiner and his wife, Michelle. Almost immediately, whispers of foul play started spreading. Law enforcement has not publicly confirmed details, but reports claim investigators are treating the case as an apparent homicide. No break-in. No random intruder, and that alone made the situation feel deeply personal. But what came next is what truly stunned everyone following the story. According to multiple unverified reports, the situation may involve someone from inside the family. Sources close to the investigation claim the couple's son is being questioned in connection with their deaths. To be clear, police have not officially named a suspect and no charges have been announced. But the fact that investigators are even exploring that possibility sent shockwaves across social media. Adding another devastating layer, it's been said that the bodies were discovered by the couple's daughter. Imagine that moment, walking into a home filled with decades of memories, only to be confronted with something so horrific it permanently changes your life. Hollywood tragedies are one thing. Family tragedies are another. And this one appears to be both. But to understand why this story has hit so hard, you have to understand who Rob Reiner was before all of this. Long before his name was attached to crime scene tape and breaking news banners, Rob Reiner was Meathead, the outspoken, idealistic son-in-law on All in the Family. At a time when television avoided controversy, that show ran straight toward it, and America followed. For years, it wasn't just popular. It was dominant. Reiner became a familiar face in millions of living rooms, earning Emmy nominations and cementing his place in TV history. Yet what many fans forget is that he walked away from that comfort. At the height of success, he didn't cling to the spotlight. He pivoted. And that decision would quietly shape modern Hollywood forever. Because behind the scenes, Rob Reiner wasn't chasing fame. He was chasing stories. His move into directing didn't explode overnight. In fact, his first major directorial project, This Is Spinal Tap, wasn't even a box office hit at first. But then something strange happened. On VHS, it caught fire. Quietly. Organically. Until it became legendary. A cult classic. A film other filmmakers studied. And then came the run that directors dream of but almost never get. Stand By Me. The Princess Bride, When Harry Met Sally, Misery, A Few Good Men, one after another, wildly different films, yet all unmistakably human, funny, emotional, honest. Behind many of those stories was a man who deeply believed in love, connection, and second chances. Which makes the current reports all the more painful to process. Rob's personal life was intertwined with Hollywood royalty. He was married to Penny Marshall, another TV icon, and even after their divorce, they remained close. There was no explosive fallout. No ugly tabloid war. Just two people admitting something wasn't working anymore. Friends say that mutual respect defined much of Rob's life. Years later, he married Michelle Singer. Reports describe their relationship as stable and deeply bonded. They raised children together. Built a private life away from red carpets. Those who knew them say they were rarely part of Hollywood drama, which is why the alleged circumstances of their deaths feel so jarring. This wasn't a couple known for chaos, or public conflict, or scandal, and yet here we are. But some who followed the family closely say there were struggles behind the scenes. Unverified reports and past interviews suggest Rob Reiner was no stranger to difficult family conversations. Like many parents, he openly spoke about wanting better lives for his children than the one he grew up with. His own father, Carl Reiner, was a comedy legend, but also a man Rob once admitted was emotionally distant due to relentless work. Rob often said he learned by watching, not by being lectured. That philosophy shaped his parenting, his directing, and his worldview. But parenting, especially under fame, is never simple. And when adult children struggle, it can ripple through even the most loving families. To be absolutely clear, any speculation about motives or responsibility remains just that, speculation. Authorities have not confirmed details. But the online conversation has already turned intense, emotional, and divided. And just as the industry began processing the news, another haunting detail emerged. Reports claim Rob Reiner was still working, still planning, still creating. A sequel to Spinal Tap had reportedly begun production, bringing him back to the project that started his directing legacy. Friends say he was energized, engaged, not someone signaling an ending. Which is why this story doesn't feel like a quiet farewell. It feels like a door slammed shut without warning. As tributes began pouring in from actors, writers, and filmmakers, many speaking about kindness, generosity, and mentorship, the contrast became unbearable. How does a man remembered for warmth and laughter end up at the center of such a grim headline? And perhaps the most chilling part is this. Right now, there are far more questions than answers. Investigators have released very little. The family has remained silent. And online speculation continues to spiral faster than facts can catch up. What actually happened inside that home? What events led up to that afternoon? And how long will it take before the full truth comes out, if it ever does? Hollywood has seen tragedy before, but when it reaches into the private space of family, it hits differently. It reminds us that behind every famous name is a human life, fragile and complex. If the reports are confirmed, Rob Reiner's legacy will forever carry this shadow. But his films, stories about love, friendship, justice, and hope, will continue playing in living rooms long after the headlines fade. And maybe that's the most unsettling part of all. A man who spent his life telling stories about connection, now leaving behind one final mystery no script could ever explain.